last time. So just to give, to refresh you. Okay, so again, when we talk about educational technology, so what are the 4 principles that we have to remember? So again, your final output in this class is for you to also conduct your individual demonstration and basically to demonstrate effective utilization of technology in your specific lessons. Okay, and there are 4 principles that I'd like to see in that lesson plan, and of course, it should follow these 4 basic best principles for educational technology. So again, number 1 would be the alignment of the objectives. Okay. Yung mga ginamit nyo ba na technology is aligned to your objectives, aligned to the learning outcomes that you want to achieve for your class. Okay, does your app or any tool provide support for you to achieve that specific goal? Okay, access, are your technologies or even the tools, specific materials used in the class accessible? Okay, so when we talk about access, dapat maging yung estudyante na-access niya, kayang ma-access. And hindi expensive, okay, meaning meron kang consideration sa circumstances, no? And unique circumstances ng mga estudyante mo. Okay, so if you're going to use high-end application that diba requires your students to pay for it, no? Although yun nga na-explain ko naman na may lack of resources na tayo in our classroom, but it's a burden for us teachers to find ways to navigate our instruction and find ways to really still deliver the lesson. Okay, and kasama dyan yung accessibility ng technology, hindi lang sa'yo, but of course, sa estudyante. Also assessment, how do you use technology, how do you provide feedback using a specific tool, app, or instructional material. Okay, how do you use edtech in providing effective assessment or feedback sa estudyante? Okay, so this one yung assessment. So I'll show you a diagram later. Okay, and then reinforcement. So how do you use edtech or the technology in the classroom to reinforce learning? So when I say reinforce learning, you giving rewards to the students. Reinforcement comes in many forms. So when we talk about reinforcement, we talk of, how do you motivate your students more, to learn the lesson? Okay, how do you provide intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation to your students with the support of technology? Okay, so our goal is again to make the classroom more engaging and more interactive, okay, by using technology, and this aspect using edtech to reinforce. Okay, dapat makita yan doon sa inyong gagawing lesson. So again, dun sa principle ng alignment, okay, we do not use technology just for the sake of using it. Okay, dapat aligned, everything is streamlined, and everything fits your objectives. Okay, so just some I would say goal na i-achieve natin. So somehow we should use EdTech that are multisensory. So sabi ko nga sa Edgar Dale's Cone of Experience, so, ang goal natin is to stimulate the senses of our students as all their senses, diba? Hindi lang isang sense, but all the senses. So yung mga gagamitin nyo bang tools in the classroom are multisensory, okay, na they are engaged because they are stimulated in the classroom. Okay, does your EdTech in the class support active learning? Does it promote active learning? Okay, would it scaffold or would it support communication skills? And this one, since we are in the age of digital education, okay, meron na rin tayong another aim, that is a multicultural education. I guess last time, no, sa inyong children's literature, I kind of talked about multicultural education there. But basically here, we use technology for students to learn from other culture. So meaning they're with the internet and with the phones, with their social media, TikTok, Instagram, somehow they get access to different culture, okay, values, belief. So why should we aim for multicultural education? Because here they will develop tolerance for other beliefs, values, okay, and part yan ng educational technology, diba? Technology and globalization, they're always linked to one another. Okay, and when we talk about globalization, we talk about the blurring of territories, diba? And somehow, okay, with that blurring of territories comes a lot of implications, and we have to teach our students to, of course, develop tolerance, acceptance of other culture, okay, eliminate ignorance about other people's belief or values. Okay, so when using technology in the classroom, this is also one of our aims. Okay, not only the technology is multisensory, not only it promotes active learning, not only it supports development of communication skills, but okay, one of our goals then is to promote multicultural education in the classroom. Okay. So this one is a okay. So this is how basically last time I talked about the teaching process or the instruction process, and I mentioned that it's an ongoing evaluation. So meaning, okay, dapat ang technology natin or anything that we use in the classroom would support yung parang evaluative, reflective framework for assessing our own instruction. So, yun nga, part again ng teaching practice that we have to evaluate, no, continuously yung ating own instruction, and hindi lang siya nagtatapos sa kapag nakapag-test na yung mga estudyante. Okay, but this is basically the aspects or some components. Okay, so when planning your lesson, okay, lesson plan, you always first ask, what do you want your students to learn? What do I want my students to learn? And there you would insert your objectives. Okay, and upon identifying what do you want your students to learn, okay, there goes the planning and programming. Okay, the second question, necessary question that you need to ask yourself, how will you get your students to get there? Or you ask yourself, how will my students get there? Okay, so sa planning and programming pa lang, iniisip mo na ano yung gagawin mo sa classroom, ano yung mga activities mo. Okay? So lagi siyang magkadikit. Okay, so dito sa how will my students get there, dito mo na somehow ipaplan, i-design. Now, what are the tools or apps, activities that would help me achieve what my objectives or what you want your students to learn. Okay, and then after that, how do I know when my students get there? Okay, that's the next question you ask. So that means that involves assessing and recording. Okay, sorry. Before pala nung what do I want my students to learn, you start with where are my students now? So this is where we start. So in every lesson, always ask yourself, where are my students now in terms of this skill? Okay, if it's writing skill, reading skills, or speaking skills. Okay, because it's usually the often overlooked part of the evaluation process, meaning nung own instruction ninyo. Okay, so that's why we have diagnostic exams, we have pre-test. Okay, for you to gauge nasa na ba yung mga estudyante ninyo. Okay, but my concern here is, ano yung dito sa lahat ng aspect na to, dapat ginagamit mo na yung tech. Okay, hindi lang sa classroom practice. So usually, gumagamit lang tayo ng tools. No? Remember that EdTech is there. Okay, not only sa part ng classroom practice, dito sa how will my students get there, but it starts with dito pa lang sa reporting. Reporting, planning, and programming, saka pa lang yung classroom practice. Okay? So, you just analyze yung relationship ng bawat isa, no? And think of, yun nga, diba? Use EdTech for you, no? For you to be guided, for you to be assisted in this kind of framework. All right, so again, in all aspect, reporting, planning, programming, classroom practice, assessing and recording, how did you maximize EdTech, okay, in all these aspects? So this is what I want to see in your lesson plan, which I'll be giving an example lesson plan, okay, before next meeting, before you get to write your own lesson plan. Okay, and of course, a huge part of your teaching inside the classroom, okay, would come from knowing, the types of students you will handle in the future. Okay, so ang title nito sa module niyo ay Teaching the 21st Century Learners. Okay, and yung tinatawag nating true 21st century learners, yun yung mga magiging estudyante nyo pa lang in the future. So kayo ay mga Gen Z, okay? And then the generation after you, we call that the Alpha generation. And iyon pa lang yung totoong 21st century learners. They are the true digital natives. Okay? And okay, so dito tayo sa, yun nga, part nung reporting, nung where are my students now, is knowing who are your students. Okay? Laging magkakakabit kasi ang classroom activities, diba? Sa kinds of students that you have in the classroom. So when you teach kasi you would really notice the differences of your students. Okay? They are all unique in their own ways. Okay? And meron silang individual differences, okay? But using the generational theory, okay, generational theory says na, yun nga, in each generation, na meron yang mga shared consciousness. Okay, meron silang personalities, habits, okay, that they share depending on their generation. Okay, of course, we know why. It's because they are living in the same environment, in the same society, okay, in the same, they're sharing the same political landscape, social landscape, psychological landscape. So somehow, merong similarities in each generation. Okay. So, I know that you're familiar with this generation, but we would start with the baby boomer generation. So, ang mga baby boomer ngayon, oldest age today, 72. So, perhaps sila yung parents ninyo or lolo and lola ninyo. So, they are the baby boomers. The generation X and seniors, they are the same. But these are the people na 53, 43 years old na ngayon. Okay, and then the millennials, okay, or also called the Generation Y. Okay, they are those people na 38 to 40 years old na ngayon. So they are the millennials. And then the Gen Z, okay, these are the people na in nga 18 to 23 years old na ngayon. So I know kayo, you're part of the Gen Z. And then the Generation Alpha or the I generation, sila yung ang oldest age today would be 5 years old, 5 to 7 years old. Okay, and these are your future students. These are our future students. Okay, so for the baby boomers, okay, what do you know about the baby boomers? Have you heard this term before? Anyone?
Yes po, ma'am. The word boomer po.